Why is this the most important symbol in the modern time? It's a question mark, right? You got what it is. It basically solves what Timur was talking about. It addresses that. What? He talked about transformation. Why? He talked about increased revenues. He talked about increased customer satisfaction. And how? Well, that's where we come in. We're going to talk about the how. Now, there was a lot of things we could talk about starting this day. And we can say, hey, we've got something on the 3-question RFP for one order. Instead of 6,000 questions, there's only 3. But we're not going to talk about that today. We could talk about the top 10 reasons why 50%, almost 50% of NDC programs fail. That's a really cool topic, but we're not going to talk about that today. This is something near and dear to Lufthansa. They talked about it. We could talk about how one order can actually increase the operating profit. And everybody knows generally the average operating profit for an airline is single digit, somewhere around 4.5%. Very few of us would actually run a business on that. Airlines do a great job doing that. But what if it was 10%? What if it was 12%? But we're not going to talk about that. What we are going to talk about is foundation. The foundation to retailing. And that's very critical. If you're building a house, you're going to start with a foundation. It's important. So let me ask you a question. If you were building the foundation to an airline retailing program, who would you do that with? Who's the largest online retailer in the world? Anybody know? Just yell it out. Amazon. Who's the largest loyalty program in the world? Amazon. They actually know a little something about retailing. So many years ago, Accelya and AWS started to have discussions around what could we do together to actually help the industry do true retailing. And we basically said, who are you going to do that with? So I called my friend Massimo, who's up here. Massimo, the global head of travel. And I said, wait a minute, why shouldn't we partner with you? So today we're announcing a strategic collaboration alliance between Accelya and Amazon, literally going out right now, that actually underpins the relationship between Accelya's technology and what Amazon Web Services and Amazon in general are doing. We're taking those learnings over the last several years and applying them to what Tamir said he needs to do. That's the how. So let's start with our 2 beautiful faces up there. Let's start with some prerequisites to do retailing. So from an airline point of view, number 1 is you have to get commercial cleanliness. Tamir talked about that. What do? Do you have access to your data? Do you have access to everything that you need? Can you hook best-of-breed systems in? There's some great articles out there around this. You can check our website on making sure you've got commercial cleanliness so you can do what you want to do. This is a revolution in terms of what we have to do from access to our data. I know one airline that does not get access to their data until check-in. Can you imagine? They will never have an effective retailing program until they get cleanliness. The second thing, adopt an open industry standard. Now, for those of you that remember NDC, we had some standards. We screwed this up. We cannot screw it up with airline retailing. So Tamir talked about, there's initiatives going on. Accelya is actually working with IATA to donate a set of standards to deal with this very issue. The third thing, we've scared ourselves with retailing. A lot of the vendors out there say, look, this is going to be a multi-$100 million initiative. It's going to take 10 years. And yes, it probably will take 10 years. But we need to start pushing ourselves to say, look, tech providers, vendors, we have to share the risk. We have to come up with an implementation model, a methodology that doesn't put all the risk on the airline. And lastly, we have to manage your NDC as if it's the foundation for airline retailing, because it is. And we'll talk more about that in a second. Now, tech vendors, what do we have to do? We have to be honest about modularity. There's an awful lot of talk in the industry about modularity, but no one's really being honest. What does that mean? It has not been successful in the airline industry for 30 years. It needs to be going forward. The second thing, fully support the industry standards. Stop coming up with these unique standards that are very hard to make connectivity and make it possible for these systems to cohabitate nicely. We're going to talk a little bit about that.
Yep.
Open best-of-breed products, you hear that all the time. What does that mean? But lastly, deliver a foundation that allows you to build from the bottom up. We in the technology sector always go to the how, and we say, here's this cool offer engine, here's this cool order engine, but we don't actually have the foundation in place, which is why airlines never get the full benefit of what they buy from us. We're going to talk about that today because my friend Massimo knows a little bit about that. So today we're announcing this relationship, but what does that actually mean? What does it mean, Massimo? What is it? Is this just a paper? I mean,
No.
if it is, it took us years to get this done. What does this mean?
So when Amazon started, it took a major gamble. I really like actually what Tamur said. Modern retailing is a 45 billion opportunity, but it is an opportunity only if you're going to take it. Amazon, the largest online retailer today, took that opportunity at the turn of the century. And they started being, the foundation of being a retailer is being customer-centric. So they bet the bank on working backward from the customers and addressing what the customer wants. And that is actually what we have done throughout. And we always put the customer forward. And that is the technology that we put together, the personalization, the MLEI, everything that is there is actually at the service of the customer. So we got together with Jim. We go way back, 2004. I'm amazed we are still here. And we said, how can we transform this industry? We did it once with Fairlogics, and we want to do it again with Accelya. We said, look, let's not look only at the technology, but let's look how we can align, how we can put the customer at the center of it. How makes Amazon successful? If you do not know, Amazon.com is a component of thousands different modules. And he said, these modules interoperate with each other through APIs, and they are independent of each other. So the concept of modularity, the concept of API, but let me actually share with you the roadmap that we have of the services, the product. Let's collect the input and incorporate on that. Let me help you address your customer's need, how we can actually put together funding for example, Sandbox, for proof of concept, to do marketing activity, aligning on the messages. These are the things that we want to bring to the table. Bring the experience of Amazon at the disposal of Accelya for making a better retailing experience.
And I think that's really helpful because the reality is we don't know it all. Nobody in this industry, from a developer point of view, really is retailer. We don't know it. And then on top of that, understanding the complexity of the airline industry is very, very difficult. So this is why this relationships make perfect sense. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about a relationship. So a relationship Massimo talked about is we made some mistakes up front. I'll admit it up here. We made some mistakes up front with how we were going to manage data at large scales, particularly in terms of how we were going to do AI. So what we did, we didn't sit back and cry and wipe our tears. We sat with our folks and friends at AWS and said, look, can you help us? And they said, yes, actually we've got this new technology that Amazon is using, and we think this would be a great underpinning for you to. Literally within 6 weeks, we had it up and running. And it was amazing because that's the support of Amazon. That would not happen without these type of relationships. And I think that's what the biggest change is going forward in terms of how we want to get to airline retailing is we have to do things differently. And this is exactly what this relationship is about. So let's talk about innovation. So one of the things that we get out of this relationship is we have test beds.
Correct.
We work with your people to say, look, we think we understand the what and the why, but we don't know the how.
Right.
Talk about that.
We can help you on the how, and we see, especially in this industry that is risk adverse, we always start from the technology, then we look at the processes, and then we look at the culture, how we change the way we are operating. Our mantra is, let's look at the cultural first, how we can actually infuse the way of operating of Amazon, and we bring then to Accelya, we look at the processes and what is the technology that applies to those processes that make you successful. And these are the things that we are doing. It's not only a transfer of technology, but way of operating and way of rethinking the challenges that are ahead. Because believe it or not, if you are going to ask the same question to the same people and expecting a different answer, you might get disappointed. And therefore, adding diversity of thought, adding different perspective, adding expertise from outside the travel industry can actually bring a lot of value to the table.
Absolutely. It's actually an amazing experience when you think about partnering up with the #1 online retailer. So this is where kind of we are today with what Timur was talking about. We're not there yet. It's going to take some time. But again, underneath this, we have a platform called Flex One. It's our offer, order, delivery, and settle platform. And it's actually built on top of
AWS.
Wonderful AWS and a lot of the database and services and scalability that we didn't have that we now have. We process over 30 billion offers a day. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. 30 billion sounds like a lot, and it is, but we're going to exponentially, as Timur said, this industry is growing. That means the offers are growing. And think about the number of offers that the Lufthansa Group has to do. We're fortunate to have them as one of our customers, but they have 10 airlines. And they have 10 airlines times the number of offers. That's a lot of information being processed. Thanks to Amazon Web Services, AWS, we're able to do that. And the first thing we delivered was our Flex Aviator. And that was really a collaboration between the two companies that said, look, we can actually manage data very differently and introduce AI into this. Now, again, I'm not going to get into AI because there's much more PowerPoint than there is actually reality out there. But as the owners of our company say, if you're not leading with AI, you're behind. And so the idea of getting an AI culture into your company, it's not going to come overnight, but if you don't start, you will quickly be left behind. And that's where, again, where we spend a lot of time on this relationship. So that's been critical for us going forward. So what about personalization? What have we learned from an Amazon experience about personalization?
So I was actually yesterday having an event right here in Lisbon with Ryanair and a variety of other airlines. And they actually said something that struck with me. It's personalization is not only when going to the plane and being welcome, hey Massimo, how are you? But actually it's contextualization. What are the information that you are providing to your customer at the moment that matters? So through the right channel, the right means, the right way that the customer can understand. To do this, you really need to master the data and understand who your customer is. Having a customer centricity, a customer 360 view of what the customer, who he is, what are the products that you are selling, being able to explain to the customer, and what gets sold is important. And that is the essence of personalization. The contextualization of the interaction with the customer, knowing where he is at, and providing the information that are relevant to them. And the underneath technology is what makes this magic happen.
It's great. And personalization, as we know in the airline industry, has a lot of connotations to it. Some of it's negative, some of it's positive. I look at it very similar to this. Basically, I don't care if it's with Amazon or with Target or with my airlines. If the experience makes me smile, that's personalization. If it weirds me out, that's personalization gone wrong. So I think those are the things that we have to look at and how we manage that. And again, who else would you pick to work with you on that other than the largest personalization company in the world? So we're very, very happy about that. All right. The takeaway. So what is it? The takeaway is that airlines really need to take control. And again, this is, I'll keep going back to Tamir and his point. They are taking control. They are saying, we're not going to let somebody come into our house and tell us what we have to do. Now, that doesn't mean we're going to build it ourselves, but we are going to actually control this relationship. And why is this important? If you think about airlines historically, and I've been around long enough and worked with hundreds of airlines over the past 30 years, one thing I realize is when you give up control, you give up revenue. And that's the key we have to click together is control means revenue, revenue means happy customers, and it's a cycle that goes around and around. So you need a platform that actually addresses control, that gives you the ability to manage just your desires, but over the years, your destiny. And think about how many airlines with technology think about destiny. They don't. They think airline technology is something I have to expense over the next 15 years, but it's not actually going to raise my operating margin. It's not going to increase my stock price. But those are the questions you need to start asking yourself. Otherwise, somebody else is going to do it to you.
Yes.
So I'm going to give you the last word.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jim. So AWS is the largest cloud provider out there, the largest set of services, the breadth and depth of technology. 21 of the top 30 airlines in the world are running mission-critical applications on AWS today, some of them exclusively. United, Delta, Southwest, Air Canada, Ryanair, Qantas, Singapore Airlines. But we cannot be everywhere. We grow through our partners. And working with our partners is key to our success. And this is actually a strategic partnership we are sealing today with Accelya for modern airline retailing. As we said at the beginning, as Tamur said, 45 billion opportunity. It is there only if you want to take it. And that goes for the partners or for anybody that want to make a difference. And I'm glad that Accelya is taking this opportunity.
And so am I. It's been really important. So in closing, which we'll close, let me just make a plug for our workshop. We have 100 chairs in it. We've got 96 people signed up for it, so we have 4 seats left. We're going to get more chairs. Mention my name. No, don't do that. You won't get in. But go ahead and go to that workshop. It's tomorrow, 10:45. And thank you very much. We really appreciate you listening to us.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.